You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia. Victoria County Sheriff's deputies traveled to a state jail facility in Bexar County to take custody of 46-year-old Mark Fernandez Jr. He was transported to the Victoria County Jail on a charge of aggravated sexual assault of a child. He is charged with numerous other sexual offenses against children under the age of 14. He remains in custody without bond. DPS then took 25-year-old Mark Aguiano of Port Lavaca into custody Wednesday in Cameron County. Aguiano faces charges of injury to a child, a probation violation, and engaging in organized criminal activity. Both were Victoria County warrants. Aguiano is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $40,000 bond.
36-year-old Cody Barnett of Universal City was arrested by a Victoria County Sheriff's deputy Wednesday. Barnett was taken into custody in the 200 block of North Bridge Street on a Victoria County warrant for arson. That's a probation violation. He is in the Victoria County Jail with no bond set. 22-year-old Isaac Lopez of El Campo pleaded guilty to aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury. The El Campo Leader News reports Lopez fired shots into a home in El Campo during a child's birthday party on November 22, 2022. Two people were hit by gunfire. Lopez was given a 5-year prison sentence.
AEP Texas says it's preparing for an approaching cold snap. The storm is predicted to affect all districts in the AEP Texas service territory. AEP Texas says its crews are taking steps to prepare for freezing temperatures and possible scattered outages. All AEP Texas districts are on alert. All crews are on standby and prepared to respond. AEP Texas advises that any downed power lines should be considered live and dangerous.
Updated information on two warming centers opening in Victoria Sunday. The warming center at First United Methodist Church, 407 North Bridge Street, will open at 2 p.m. Sunday. It will close at 8 a.m. Wednesday. The church is collecting donations of bottled water, individually packaged snacks, light throw blankets, or socks. The Salvation Army of Victoria headquarters, 1302 North Lewis Street, opens as a warming center anytime the temperature drops below 35 degrees or below 30 degrees in wind chill. The emergency shelter will be open from 4:30 p.m. to 7 a.m. When the church center closes Wednesday, the people there will go to the Salvation Army. So let's take a first look at your forecast with First Orange Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. Mac, before we get to the cold, we got to talk about the wind tonight.
Yes, it's kicking up tonight, and it will be even stronger tomorrow. And I'm glad that the Salvation Army and other places are opening up these shelters, because imagine being outdoors in the kind of weather that we're going to be looking at. This is our first front. This is our wind maker. It comes in early in the morning, and you will know because tomorrow morning the winds will be blowing 25, 35, and gusting to 40. So we have, just with that alone, we'll have some downed trees, maybe even some downed power lines. Keep that in mind. But then the big chill begins on Sunday night. We're going to talk all about that and get you ready for it coming up in a moment.
Mac, thank you. A 6-year-old girl was shot and killed at a home in Dallas Wednesday, and police have made an arrest this evening. Police say they arrested 19-year-old Damaria Souls for tampering with physical evidence. He also had outstanding warrants unrelated to this case. Souls is currently in the Dallas County Jail. DPD says the victim was shot just before 3 p.m. She was taken to a hospital where she later died of her injuries.
A sheriff's deputy is recovering after she was hit by a vehicle this morning. It happened on Interstate 10 in Harris County.
Two others were also hurt in the crash, but authorities say the deputies' quick actions may have saved their lives.
Just before 7 o'clock this morning, there was a crash on I-10 the East Freeway near Cedar Lane, which is over in Channelview. Just minutes later, a Harris County Sheriff's deputy was there responding to the crash, and she, along with the two men who were involved in the wreck, were all standing outside their cars on the shoulder when a driver in a large work truck hauling a bobcat, a big piece of construction equipment, on a gooseneck trailer, hit the deputy's patrol car, hitting the three of them, and drove through the scene. Now, the driver did stay there, and the cause of the crash is under investigation. The deputy and one of the men hit were brought here to Memorial Hermann in serious condition. We're told the deputy is 38 years old and has injuries to her legs. Now, the man who was brought here was more seriously hurt. We're told he has several broken bones, but is also expected to survive. Now, the third person was taken to a different hospital, and we're told he is in good condition today. Now, according to the sheriff, the deputy, who's been with the department since 2010, was quick on her feet and actually pushed one of the men out of the way so he wasn't directly hit, possibly saving his life.
Again, at the last moment, we've already seen some evidence where she tried to push that other person that still sustained injuries. No one was spared, but nonetheless, is expected to survive, and perhaps through her quick action of pushing the person out of a direct impact, perhaps that person will hopefully be able to survive.
The investigation into the accident is currently ongoing, but police believe speed might have been a factor.
Tonight, the United States announced strikes against Houthi targets in Yemen. The U.S. military, along with British forces, bombing over a dozen sites used by the Iran-backed rebels and using Tomahawk missiles and fighter jets. The strikes were targeting logistical hubs, weapons storage, and air defense systems. Houthi rebels began their drone and missile attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea at the start of the Israel-Hamas war in October. Over 20 protesters shut down a San Antonio City Council meeting Thursday morning to voice their support for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. KSAT reports activists carrying Palestinian flags and signs reading "San Antonio stands with Palestine" chanted "Free Palestine" and "Ceasefire now" during City Council proceedings. Two council members had tried to call a special meeting to consider a ceasefire resolution. That effort was stopped when Councilman Manny Pelaez pulled his support from the effort.
DPS has closed and taken over a park in Eagle Pass on the banks of the Rio Grande. The Texas Tribune reports Eagle Pass Mayor Rolando Salinas said he received a call from DPS officials on Wednesday to let him know that Governor Greg Abbott had signed an emergency declaration and that officers would take full control of 47-acre Shelby Park indefinitely. Salinas said he was told that the reason for the operation is to prevent migrants from illegally crossing the Rio Grande in Texas. Hunter Biden pleaded not guilty to federal tax charges filed after the collapse of a plea deal that could have settled the case against him. President Biden's son was charged with 9 counts of felony and misdemeanor tax offenses. The charges stem from what federal prosecutors say was a 4-year scheme to skip out on paying the $1.4 million he owed to the IRS. A tentative trial date was set for June 20th.
Victoria residents will face another election after approving property tax cuts in last November's election. The Texas Tribune reports as part of that new law, voters in Texas' 50 largest counties will now elect 3 new members of their respective property appraisal district boards. Victoria is the 44th biggest county in Texas, so this May, Victoria voters will be asked to elect candidates in the new political positions within their appraisal districts.
And critics have raised concerns about this potentially adding election cost and overall changing what was previously considered a non-political system. Bringing us to your viewer poll tonight, you can scan that QR code on your screen to vote. The question is, are you concerned with the potential impact of changes on property values and taxes? Yes or no? According to our results, it looks like from here, 89% stand at yes and 11% say no.
It's consistently been big for yes all day, and we thank you for voting. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. The Republican women of the Yoakum area are hosting a GOP candidates forum this Saturday at the Yoakum Community Center, 105 Huck Street. The forum starts at 6 p.m.
We recently had all of the mayoral candidates live on 25 News Now at 5 to hear their various platforms. Now we're giving you a chance to learn more about their character and personality. We asked all of the mayoral candidates the same 4 questions. Our first question was for them to show us an important item in their home or office.
Number 2, talk to me about your dream job when you were a child. Number 3, if you're elected mayor, what is your greatest fear? And finally, what is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote is Abraham Lincoln, is you can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time. You know, that's in real life today. I mean, we hope that we can please, you know, everybody. I don't think it'll ever happen. Be a peace officer, and I went ahead and I fulfilled that dream. I found out it didn't make much money, so I went on to the private sector. And about 18 years ago, I got into the limousine industry, and I have been in this industry ever since. My biggest fear is that I won't be able to accomplish what I want to accomplish. If I got mayor, I hope that we would all be able to work together for the common interests of the people. It's never about us. It never will be about me. Is that it will be always about the people of this community. My children and grandchildren, is that I'm very proud of all of them. The love that you get from your grandkids, it's like being a parent all back over again. That is just the light of my life.
Also on the ballot, Josephine Solis, Jacob Sauceda, Peter Brown, Carissa Winters, and Dwayne Crocker. Early voting starts January 17th and runs through January 30th. Join us Saturday, February 3rd for complete coverage of the special mayor election.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then when you're on YouTube, you can get Crossroads Today. Stay with us. The threat of a government shutdown is still looming. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, the Senate Majority Leader's plan to prevent one this month.
Also, a ski resort in California has reopened one day after a deadly avalanche.
The ski resort in California will reopen today, but some parts will be off limits a day after an avalanche killed one person and injured another. The avalanche began at 9:30 a.m. as a major winter storm swept into the region. Authorities say a 66-year-old man was killed. 3 others were in the avalanche. One suffered a leg injury and 2 others were treated and released. The president of Mountain Operations said ski patrols checked the slopes for avalanche conditions since Sunday.
A Missouri teacher is in the hospital recovering from injuries sustained during a fight with a student.
She says it started with an unprovoked attack. What happens next was caught on camera.
Take a look at how a student drags a 65-year-old science teacher who's already on the ground. It appears the teacher tries to restrain the student as the student kicks and throws blows. It happened outside of a Normandy High School classroom Wednesday. The veteran teacher taken to the hospital shortly after.
Is she in pain? Is she okay?
Oh yeah, she's banged up.
pretty bad. I'm at work and I get this video. She was circled up.
Greg Stanton says his significant other told police a student left class and eventually returned to get her book bag. When she told the student to wait, he says the student pushed past the teacher, grabbed her book bag, and attacked the teacher.
Well, where were the police? Where were the parapros?
In a statement, Normandy Schools said, "We have launched an internal investigation to gather all the necessary facts surrounding the incident, and appropriate actions will be taken based on findings of these investigations."
Teaching is one of the most difficult jobs in the world.
Education consultant Ian Buchanan is a former principal in Normandy Schools. What does a teacher do? Let's say hypothetically a student swings at you. What's the ideal response?
There are a number of techniques that many teachers have been trained to use and execute. And so I think first is to resist that first reaction to response in a defensive way. I definitely wouldn't want it to be an eye for an eye, so to speak, or a tit for a tat. At the same time, just in case you didn't know, teachers are human beings. And so we can talk about all of this theory about what is supposed to happen, but when you're confronted with those situations, who knows what might happen.
Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
Police say they do expect to file charges against that student. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is laying out the plan to avoid a government shutdown on the Senate floor today. The New York Democrats said the chamber will be moving forward on a short-term stopgap funding bill next week. The bill would avoid a partial government shutdown on January 19th. Schumer said that some far-right Republicans lobbying against the deal don't have Americans' best interest at heart.
A shutdown is looming over us starting on January 19th, about a week away. For the most part, both parties, Democrats and Republicans, agree we don't want a shutdown. Instead, we want to work together to pass the 12 appropriations bills based off top-line funding levels that congressional leadership agreed to last Sunday.
The January 19th shutdown deadline is the first of two negotiated by House Speaker Mike Johnson. The remaining government funding will run out by February 2nd.
A recent study showed that more than 53 million adults in America are struggling with arthritis.
Arthritis is a broad term. It covers a spectrum of about 100 conditions impacting joints and surrounding tissues. Data from the National Health Interview Survey found that approximately 21.2% of U.S. adults who are 18 and older have gotten a diagnosis of arthritis. That's a staggering 53.2 million people. A closer look at the numbers show higher rates among women compared to men, more veterans than non-vets, and more cases in white adults than in Latino or Hispanic and Asian adults. Adults aged 45 years and above represent a significant majority, making up 88.3% of all U.S. adults with arthritis. You can reduce risk of arthritis by being physically active and maintaining a healthy weight. If you're experiencing joint pain, talk to your doctor. Treatment can help reduce pain and manage any arthritis symptoms. With this Medical Minute, I'm Melissa Adon.
Homelessness in Texas is on the rise amid high housing costs. You can read the full story by the Texas Tribune on our website, crossroadstoday.com.
A South Texas Regional Job Fair was held today in Cuero. The job fair was at the Cuero Municipal Park Clubhouse, 201 Leonard Roy Harmon Drive. The South Texas Job Fair is an opportunity for job seekers to find their next career move and for businesses to recruit the region's top talent. Job seekers can meet face-to-face with local employers, explore job opportunities, and grow their network and make valuable connections, all for free.
Well, good evening, everybody. Here it is right there. That's the beginning of the cold air. Why? Because this area is spinning this way and it's pulling down that Arctic air, which is going to be rolling into our area very soon. Tomorrow we'll be having winds, and by Sunday we'll be shivering. We'll talk more about your weather coming up in just a moment. Well, good evening, everybody. Believe it or not, it's 70 degrees. I say believe it or not because that's actually the warmest temperature of the day. We were starting in the 60s, and then we had the day, and then all of a sudden at night it got warmer because the south wind is kicking in, and it's getting fairly strong, about 25 miles an hour a little bit earlier this evening. What is that all about? Well, that's part of that gathering storm that I showed you a moment ago. We're already having an alert day set up for Monday on the crossroads. That's pretty much all of us. A hard freeze and possible ice. Okay, now remember this. 2021, the big freeze, that was, it's not going to be anything like that. We're not going to have that much snow, that much ice, but we are going to have very cold temperatures that we haven't seen in a while. So you've got to worry about your outdoor water pipes that are facing the air. Tender vegetation is going to take a beating, so if you've got prized flowers, you got to bring them in. And then, of course, the pets and the farm animals as well. You got to consider water and shelter and all that stuff. Well, right now, as you can see, our temperatures are fairly mild. So is much of southeast Texas. Then you get up to Amarillo, and they're already, at 19 degrees. So that's where the cold air is, and now it's expected to start rolling down. As I mentioned, this area of low pressure is the worst case scenario. All of our storms have been coming at us from the west. That's why it's been so mild. But now this one is tapping into some cold air. That's pulling it down, and so all of a sudden, we're going to be feeling that cold air very soon. Now tonight, we've got the strong south wind. Tomorrow morning, the northwest wind will kick in, and it'll be blowing 20 to 35 miles an hour. We could get gusts up to 40, so trees are going to be wafting around, and we may have some power lines down just because of the wind as well. Then we go into the weekend. Your Saturday is okay, but on your Sunday, the Arctic air, see that big blue bubble? That's going to drop down into us, and that is going to be a cold pocket of air that had been in the Arctic for all these months, and now it's going to be visiting us. So here's the big concern, or the major concern. Early on Monday morning, right about here, what do I have it, at 6 a.m., we've got snow throughout North Texas. We've got icy conditions here. That means you may see grapple or a little hail or a little sleet, but don't worry, I'll tell you why. The ground is warm. If you're in contact with the ground, you're fine. It's elevated surfaces like cars and metal and tin roofs or whatever. That will be getting colder, so that's the problem. As far as we're concerned, we're going to be generally rain. However, if you're up in Schulenburg or in Hallettsville, you may see a little bit of ice up there. It's not out of the question. And then by Tuesday, this is all gone. Well, the moisture is gone. We get this cold, dry thing sitting on top of us for a couple of days. Night times will be below freezing, but daytimes will rise above freezing, so it's not anything like 2021, so don't lose any sleep over it. Just make sure you got warm socks ready, okay? 57 in the morning, 61 the high tomorrow, so that's nothing like today. And then 56 to 60 in Cuero with lots of sun and gusty winds. So again, tomorrow's a windstorm. Saturday is okay. Sunday it starts getting cold, and Monday is an alert day. The high is only going to be 37, and for the following mornings, Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll be in the 20s. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Zach with sports.
Yesterday, maybe the greatest college coach of all time announced their retirement, and today the greatest NFL coach of all time parting ways. I'll have that in sports. Well, it's been talked about for a large portion of this year, and today it's official. After 24 years, 6 Super Bowl titles, the greatest coach in NFL history is leaving the New England sideline. Bill Belichick and the Patriots, after a series of conversations, have mutually parted ways. And instead of sadness, Belichick said this day is a day of gratitude and celebration. Before he addressed the media, he said he hadn't seen this many cameras since they signed Tim Tebow. Bill thanked everyone in the organization and credited his success to the players, saying they win the ball games, and maybe his greatest player ever, that being Tom Brady, feels the same way about him, saying he's grateful to have played for the greatest coach ever and says he could have never been the player he was without him. The UHV Jags hit the field first practice of the year as they get ready to defend their Red River Athletic Conference Championship. Lots of anticipation for the new year, and head coach Jonathan Stavinoa, says, we're excited to have everybody back home. Getting on the field today felt like we picked up right where we left off. The team has a lot of motivation and drive to move forward as one team and build off the successes of 2023. January 26th is right around the corner, and we cannot wait to represent Victoria and the university to the best of our ability. Go Jags. Another team that hit the field today, the Calhoun girls, who took on Wharton, and the Sandies get the win 3-2. Claire Flores scored 2 goals. The third came from Ella Vasquez. Ella also had 2 assists on the afternoon. The other one came from Milady Anzaldua. Sticking with soccer, 2 area-ranked teams. El Campo comes in at number 12, and the Calhoun boys are ranked at 26. Both of those teams nearly met in the semifinals to go to state just last year, but they do play each other because, of course, they are district rivals. The first game will be February 6th. The second will be March 1st. The Texas Longhorns are losing their top 3 receivers. Jonathan Brooks has declared, of course, with Cuero's Jordan Whittington, but Quinn Ewers is back. Texas has its quarterback as they head into SEC play. Arch Manning has said he's committed to the program. We'll see if he's okay with sitting another year. The Longhorns, fresh off their first ever playoff berth, trying to get right back at it next year. Former Cuero head coach Jack Alvarez has announced his decision to retire. He held numerous head coaching jobs throughout his career, but was recently the head coach at Marshall High School. Alvarez was the Gobbler head coach right after Travis Reeve, and while he did not win a title in Cuero, he had a great career, winning one with Ennis in 2014 and going to the title game with Kirbyville in 2008 and 2009. All right, that's it for your sports. Don and Karina, back to you.
Zach, thank you. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, we're going to take a last look at your weather. Plus, federal agents want some states to put an end to funny messages on highway signs.
Highway Administration is cracking down on what state highways officials display on roadside message boards. The messages are designed to relay important information like severe weather or a crash ahead. But when there is nothing urgent, many states put up generic messages, often with a humorous twist. For example, Massachusetts drivers have been urged to, quote, use your blinker.
That's kind of cute.
And then park your car. I put the last one in. Anyway, the FAA is giving states 2 years to remove pop culture references and humor from road signs. There's another one. After 54 years, Fruit Striped gum has been discontinued. The Ferrara Candy Company has confirmed the decision to end production of the now iconic chewing gum. Fruit Striped gum was created in 1969 by the Beech Nut Company. It came in 5 flavors, and each stick contained a temporary tattoo of mascot Yipes the zebra. Despite the sad news, Ferrara should be okay. The company also owns the wildly popular Nerds brand of candies. I confess I have not had either, but
I remember the striped gum.
Yeah, I used to have that one all the time.
You youngins don't remember that.
No, I do actually.
Oh, you do?
I do, yeah, actually. The tattoo.
The tattoo. You
But the
remember
gum didn't last very long at all.
He's still wearing the tattoos.
It's a strong gum. Well, before we get to the storm, we got to talk about the wind the next few hours.
The wind will blow in by sunrise. You'll really know it's here in the morning. It's going to be colder tomorrow. Only 60 degrees is the high temperature. So grab the coat, leave it by the door because you're going to need it in the morning. It's going to be a howling wind for all of Friday. Now, Saturday's okay, Sunday's not bad, but Sunday is when the cold air starts to drift in, and it's Monday morning when we may have a little bit of drizzle and ice and a little icy mix. Do not compare this to 2021. In that year, in that storm, we were below zero for about 5 days. This one, we're going to go below zero in the morning, and then we rise above, and then down again, and then rise above. So it's not going to be like that. Relax. Take it easy. Wear socks and keep your feet warm, okay?
Good idea.
All right, thank you, Mac. Now, keeping your mind sharp as you age is important, and one tech company thinks freestyling is the ticket. AARP and Freestyle, a company that uses improv or freestyling to improve confidence, is partnering to launch a new app called Flowzone. You start by selecting a tune that matches your current state of mind. From there, you are given a game created by AI that helps improve your mental fitness. So Flowzone is expected to launch this spring. And you know, you've been freestyling lately.
No, man. You know what?
it,
She
Zach.
asked me,
Hit it.
Karina asked me if I could freestyle before the show started. This is why. She
You know
always has some kind of twist and turn to throw in everything.
You know what?
This is
You're
it
right.
is.
I'm going to save the
I'm
viewers.
sweating now. I'm on the spot.
I'm going to save the viewers the embarrassment because it wasn't that good. It wasn't really good at all. It was humbling, to say the least.
Oh, my. We're running out of time.
Well, thank you for joining us for 25 News Now at 10.
25 News Now Sunrise at 5 a.m. Good night.